Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani and today it's time for the mid-year book Freakout tag. I love this tag so much, both to answer it and also to watch it, because we go through all the books that I read so far this year and just see how is it going? How has our reading been so far? I did not plan my answers for these questions and I didn't grab any books to show you yet, but I have the questions right here, so let's do it. I don't know if I have like the official original list of questions, but I have a bunch of cool questions. So the first one is, how has your 2023 reading year gone so far? I think it's been going like a roller coaster a little bit, at least for reading, not like my year, like my life, but the reading, because I started really well in the year, and then in mid-April, I just got into a slump, I guess, and then since mid-April, I only read 4 books, which is really crazy. So I read 2 books in June, I read 2 books in May, and even April, I was doing the Magical Readathon. If you followed my vlogs that I did for the month, you know that it did not go as successful as I wanted or expected, but it's fine. Before that, I read a lot. So far I have read, let's check, 32 books, which is past my goal of 50 books in the year. I usually get much more than 50, but that's what I set on Goodreads as a goal. So I'm past that, so it should be okay for the rest of the year. But yeah, I read 10 books in January, 5 in February, 6 in March, 7 in April, and then 2 and 2 in May and June. So I hope that this is going to increase as the year passes, and I expect to read more each month. But also there were a lot of video games coming out this year that just sucked a lot of my time. And there's just a lot of other things going on, but it's going well. I've had a lot of really great reads so far this year, so I'm very happy about that. Now let's go to the normal questions. I'm going to try to limit this to 1 book, because if I go through all of them, then my final check-in at the end of the year, I'm not going to have a lot of things to talk about, so I'm going to try to limit myself to 1. But know that these are my answers for right now, and they could change depending on my mood and how I feel about the books as time passes. Because the first question is already best book that I read in 2023, and that's already hard. But I will go with my guts here and with a book that has stuck to me the longest and I want to reread it, and we'll see when I reread it if it's still the best one that I read so far, because there could be 2, but I'm going to pick 1. And it is, of course, Trails of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book that I read in the year. I started it on January 1st because it was one of his secret projects that he released on January 1st. And it really stuck to me. This book really spoke to a type of genre and a type of story and characters that I really love. He did say it was inspired by The Princess Bride, which it is one of my favorite movies and books, so it really did work. I read this on ebook when it first came out, and I got the physical copy later, and like I said, I will reread this. I want to tag a bunch of stuff and like a bunch of quotes. This is narrated by Hoyt, which is a character from the Cosmere that appears in a bunch of books, and he is in his best here in this book. Just the way that he narrates it, the way he puts his personality and his humor in it, which is the exact type of humor that I like. So it was just all in all a story that I really loved, and that, like I said, stuck to me. And this edition is one of the most beautiful as well. I'm going to try to not repeat books for questions as well. We'll see how that goes, because one of the questions is the most beautiful book I got, and this could fit for that. But I'm going to try to not do that. So this was, I think, the best book that I read so far in 2023. The next is the best sequel that I read so far in the year. So let's order my spreadsheet by sequels. One of my goals for the year was to try to continue series quickly, and that's clearly not working because I only have 4 to pick from. One was a very big disappointment. The other 2 were Feeling Donovan, and as much as the rating for those books was higher, I don't feel like they were some of the best sequels that I read this year, although they're some of the only ones that I had. And then I had The Tyranny of Faith. So which one was the best book that I read this year? The best sequel that I read this year? I guess I'll go by the rating that I gave at the time and put Feeling Donovan Knocks Him Dead. This is the second book in the Feeling Donovan series, which is about this woman who, in the first one, accidentally kills a guy or accidentally ends up with a dead body and has to figure that out. So it's a cozy mystery following Feeling Donovan and her babysitter. And the first book is amazing, phenomenal. This was also really a lot of fun, just continuing that sort of scenario. And I think everyone can agree from what a lot of the reviews that I saw online on BookTube that the series is kind of going downhill from here. So we'll see how that continues. But I guess this was the best sequel that I read so far this year, and we have to change that. Next one is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. And I'm going to count that for like books that were released so far in the year already. Not that it's going to be released in the second half, but it was released in the first half that I haven't read yet. Probably many. The one that I'm going to say is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This is on my TBR for July, and I'm very, very curious to read this book. I've only heard amazing things, and I don't know much about what the story is. Besides, there's this big library and the boy living in it, and then there's a girl who lives outside it, and I don't know what we're doing for all these pages, but this is on my TBR, and I do want to read it soon because I think I'm going to love it. This was released a few months ago, a few weeks ago, I'm not even sure, but I got it a few weeks ago and I want to read it soon. The next one is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. We still have the secret projects that I want to read. The third one was just released in July 1st, which was yesterday, but that's not my answer. Let me think. Actually, for now, I think that will have to be my answer. So the fourth secret project is going to be my answer for this one because I don't have a lot else that comes out at the second half of the year that I'm expecting, anticipating a lot. We had Silverborn, but was postponed to next year. So I'm going to go with Secret Project number 4 because I know what the title is, I know what the premise of the book is, because when he was releasing all that information, I wanted to know, and I'm very curious what we're doing in that book and why and how and when. So Secret Project number 4 is my most anticipated book of the year. Now that I'm even talking about it, it's getting me more excited to get to the book, and that comes out in October, if I'm not wrong. Then I have Biggest Disappointment. I have something in mind. Let me see if it's going to be that or if there's anything else. Yeah, no, it's going to be that. It's not about a bad book, it's about a disappointing book. And I'm going to go with Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This was one of my highest anticipated books of the year, and it was just okay. The issue really, my expectations for this book were higher than it should have been because it's not the genre that I typically enjoy. This is a contemporary story that just follows this woman's life, and I didn't care enough about it. This is a story about a woman who steals a manuscript of an author who steals a manuscript of another author and publish it as her own. So there's a lot of discussions about publishing industry and about appropriation and culture and all of that, which is very interesting. And R.F. Kuang does this type of discussion so well. She's great at research, as all of her masters and PhDs prove. But as a story, as a narrative, as like something to read for fun, I thought it was okay. It was very disappointing because I was expecting it to be 5 stars like it was for a lot of people, but it's just not the type of story that I like, so it was okay. I do love the cover though. And now we go to biggest surprise of 2023 so far, and I only marked one as a surprise for the year on my spreadsheet because I have a column to do that. And I looked at all the other ones, and I think this is the biggest surprise because I went into it without any expectations really. Just it sounded fun, but I hadn't heard anyone talking about it, so I just wanted to see what I would think. And I haven't talked about it on my channel yet. I don't know which video is coming first. If it's my wrap-up or this one. If it was my wrap-up, you heard it. If not, this was Fortress of the Lost Amulet by Michael Webb. It is a self-published YA fantasy that's participating on Spiffbo 9. If you don't know what Spiffbo is, it's SPFBO, and it's a contest for the best self-published fantasy that's organized by Mark Lawrence, and you can find more information about it on his blog, and also other booktubers that are officially judging the Spiffbo competition. I'm just following it for fun, and I think it's amazing, and I'm expecting to find a lot of really good books from it. So when all of the participants were announced, I checked what was available on Scribd for me to listen to, and Fortress of the Lost Amulet was one of them. I am planning to read a lot of the Spiffbo books for the rest of the year, and especially the finalists when they are announced eventually. So keep an eye out for that. But this one, like I said, I just picked it because it was available there. It sounded mildly interesting. I love the cover, so that definitely grabbed my attention. And this is about, it's a fantasy world about this boy and his friends that are trying to find a lost amulet because it gives them powers. It's supposed to give them powers. They don't know if it's a legend or if it's real, and there's some really bad people also looking for that amulet. So it's a big adventure novel, and it's being compared to Indiana Jones and Percy Jackson, and I totally see why, because the group of friends, it does really feel like Percy Jackson more. It's a younger young adult, I will say, but there's a lot of high stakes and just a lot of like intense subjects being dealt in the book. So it's a younger young adult, but it's not middle grade. I wouldn't say it's middle grade, but it's right there. It's a big fun adventure that I really enjoyed. So it was a big surprise because I just didn't have any expectations. Not that I thought it would be bad, I just didn't have enough expectations, and I ended up having a lot of fun. So I for sure recommend, and the audiobook was also really good. The narration was amazing. The next one is favorite new author, new to me or debut author. Let me check my 5 stars. Okay, so the author that I'm going to put here as my favorite new author has a trilogy out that I have not read. So I only read his next book, and it impacted me so much. And that was one of the ones that I could have put for best books, but I decided to put it here because how much I love this book. I already consider him my favorite author, and if I read his previous trilogy and I don't like it, then we'll reassess. But for now, he is one of my favorite new authors, and it is James Islington. I've seen it said both ways. I should have checked, but this book, The Will of the Many, was one of my favorite books so far this year, and I adore this. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's going to be my wrap-up, and I want to gush about this book a lot, but know that this was amazing, and the way that it's written and the characters and just how well this book was crafted, he's a favorite author for sure. And now I'm going to skip Fictional Crush, a book that made me cry. I don't think any books made me cry. I think the book that made me sad, it didn't make me cry, but it made me really, really sad, was Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is a nonfiction about her story after she was assaulted in the campus of Stanford, and telling her version and with her words and what really happened and how the trial went. And that was just devastating and really impactful, and it made me really sad. Among a lot of other emotions, it made me really, really sad. So that's what I put for the book that made me cry. Oh, I skipped favorite character. Do I have a new favorite character? Oh, I have a new favorite character. Let me grab it. So my new favorite character is from the Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Surviving Medieval England, and I'm going to show you who it is. You see this boy right here? This is Mervyn. He is my new favorite character. He entered this book to make it good because the book was very average as a story itself, but the whole book is filled with doodles from Mervyn's adventures, and it's just my favorite thing. A lot of the pages have, oh, it's very bright. A lot of the pages have like just doodles of his stories, what he's doing, who he's meeting, and there's no dialogue there. It's just the story being told in the doodles, and Mervyn is my new favorite character for sure. He's not a character in the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval English. He was in England. I don't think he was even created by Brandon Sanders, so I'm sure he was created by Stephen Argyle, which is the illustrator for this book. But he's my favorite character. And then going back, a book that made me happy. A book that made me happy. There were a bunch of them, I think. I'm going to say The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. This is about the sanctuary for kaijus, which are basically big Godzillas, and this was a lot of fun. This was funny. There was a lot of banter between the characters, and this made me really happy. I was laughing. I was just enjoying the ride, and this was also one of my favorite books of the year, but in a way that was just really a lot of fun, and I loved being with these characters and following their journey in the sanctuary and seeing what the kaijus are doing and how they're doing. Then we have the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. Well, I think it can be that I bought, that I got, or anything like that, but let me think. I'm going to say 2 books because I bought them together and they're a series and I cannot choose between them, but I bought these books because they were beautiful. I want to read them, of course. I wouldn't buy them if I didn't want to read them, but I bought this because they are gorgeous editions and some of the most beautiful books that I've ever seen. And when they were back in sale, because they were sold out really quickly when they were first on sale, and then they put it on sale again, not signed by the author, I really wanted it because they're gorgeous. So I bought this for my collection. I still want to read them, and I will read the beautiful editions. I have no issue doing that. But I bought them because they were beautiful. And that is Priory of the Orange Tree and A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, the Broken Binding editions. So I'm going to show the orange one first, and the cover is the same, like that's fine. But these are the sprayed. Let me show you both. Those are the sprayed edges. And I just love it, it's just perfect. And then the end papers look like this. And the hardcover looks like this. But my favorite thing about this book is this spine. Both of them have words, I'm guessing it's a quote from the book, in the spine. And this is my favorite thing because I just love how it looks. And it being a super chunky book, you can fit a lot of text in it. And I just love how it looks. So this is my favorite part of the book. I know Illumicrate also has some beautiful editions of these books, but they didn't have this, so I wanted the Broken Binding one because of the quote on the spine. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Are we talking here about books that I want to, or books that I said I would in the beginning of the year? Because I don't think I'm going to read those. I still want to, but just like time. But like I said, I do want to read a bunch of the Spiffable books until for the end of the year, by the end of the year. So those are one category of books that I want to read. I already purchased a few. I already grabbed a bunch that were on sale or free for a day or two or something like that, because I'm following all of that so I can get those books. And I maybe will even get Kindle Unlimited, because a lot of them are on Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, that's really hard to say. So I am going to try to read a bunch of those for sure. But I just posted a big book haul of a bunch of books that I would love to read by the end of the year. So there's just a lot of things. I want to finish a few series, or at least continue them, like Poppy War, 5th season. What else should I be focusing on? I started The Blade itself, so I want to continue that series as well. There's a lot. There's always a lot. So if any of those plans sound interesting to you, do subscribe so you can see my content going forward in the year. I should bring back to Discord the buddy reads that we were doing, because that actually forced me to read the book, and that was probably a smart thing for me to do, because I'm having a very hard time to focusing on all of this. So bringing back the buddy reads would probably be a smart idea for me. Let me know if you'd want to buddy read books, because I've also been toying with the idea of creating a Patreon or something so we can actually buddy read, and I can have more time to focus on that and have actual like a plan for when we're reading and discussing each thing. I've always wanted to have like a type of book club sort of thing, but I know everyone has a book club nowadays and no one has time to get into new book clubs. So let me know if you would be interested, because I could do that. That would be fun. And I could get through all of the books. I could read the 300 books from Speakable. No, I cannot. But I have a lot of plans for the rest of the year, and I'm very excited for them. So let me know if you agree with my answers here for these questions, if you read any of this and you agree with my opinion. And what was your favorite book that you read this year? I would love to know that. So far, we still have 6 months to go. We still have a lot of time to find new favorites, and I am planning on that. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye!